Hello and welcome to Stir Crazy Art Class with Gerald Savine, lesson number 29, continuing the painting of the needles and the sea. So we're going to start painting the sea now. I've just prepared some little bit of ultramarine blue with a little bit of purple lake put into it, and also the cerulean blue as well. As you can see from the picture over here, we come into some green as well. It's amazing. The area around this part of the coast, a lot of my marine paintings are based around here, and it's quite surprising how green the water is. So I'm going to bring in, again, very thin to start off with, some of the colour mixed in with the blue. I'm going to work from the distance part, coming forward. Now we're going to try and keep the brush strokes horizontal. Again, here we do this sort of effect rather than just putting it on totally smoothly. We get a feeling of the movement of water. Careful up against the land. Old Harry rocks in the distance. And a little bit of the cerulean blue in as well, I think, just reflecting the colour of the sky. And again, as we come down a bit, you can see the colour, you do find that at distances the colours can change. I'm trying to work my way across quite quickly. More water going on, a bit more colour going in, a bit more pigment coming across. Got the land here, so they tend to make a slightly difference to how the sea is when you get near to the land. Now I don't want to be careful not to overdo this. But again here, we're having to watch for the time. But you can see here, when we're nearer to the land, over this side you can see, although you can't see the land on the original painting, the water is slightly darker. Again, I was going to work colour across. Again, when you've got the time, refer to the original painting. You'll be able to see more clearly. We'll let this dry back a bit, and then we can put a slightly more colouring onto this. I'll mix a bit of the ultramarine blue and the cerulean blue here. Again, you can see I'm taking the colour horizontally across, because again, if you land up going at an angle, it looks as though the water's falling off the end of the page. It's a peculiar thing again, but it just shows you how much brush strokes show up. Go a little bit, deliberately go darker here, because we're a little bit of a reflection of the land. I'm afraid, again, unfortunately, it's not as beautiful as I would like it to be. But again, I think, so if you take your time and see how you get on with old Harry rocks there. Now then, I'm going to start to bring a little bit of green into here now, believe it or not. And again here, I'm just going to start bringing a little bit of the green in. Now that's very, very dark, or too rich at the moment. So I'm going to thin that down very, very quickly, pulling the colour across. Let it blend in with the other colours that are there. And again, at the moment, we're looking away. Think about as we come down, we're putting, if for want of a better way of putting it, a bit of base colouring in. We'll be going back over it again. I'm mixing a little bit of the purple lake with the green now. That's made it a bit darker. I'm just going to thin that down again from the palette. You can see there it's gone a bit icky. But now then, if I do that, now that's there. I'll quickly wash the brush out, pull the colour across. But you see how it begins to blend in, softens down. Again, it's one of the nice things about watercolours. You can get that instant sort of blending. My personal main way of working is in gouache, which is opaque, and you can't do that with gouache. Not the same way as you can with watercolour. Because again, you remember that watercolour allows the paint to go thin and allows the colour, the light to bounce off. Now you will notice here that there is a slight difference here as we come round. A bit more green into that, I think, because that's the way the tide was going again. But then again here, and we'll see this lower down when we come to do the water, the waves that are below the cliffs that we've got in the foreground. Now again here at this moment in time, we're putting on what I call an undercoat colour. I'm still working with ultramarine and a bit of green there. I'm a tiddly little bit of cerulean blue in there as well. Again here, so it's surprising. I say it always amazes how green the water around this part of the coast can be. But if you look at photographs of different parts of the world, you can quite often tell where it is because of the colour of the sea. So it's obviously to do with how to some extent, how the sun, the light is. Now, so at the moment we're not getting too much of a feeling of what are called waves, or what a better way of putting it. It's too much green there, a little bit of blue into that. But you see again, what's nice is you can, as you're working, you can blend the colours, you can add and you can even subtract. Just be careful along there. But then I'm going to come round here a bit. The colour's getting a bit more definite, so I'm not too scared about that. I'll have to do something about so we can see the difference between the land and the greenery. We'll do that later, but I won't go too much now into the feeling of the waves and things that are there, the flow of the water. Again, we're having to watch the time, so we're going to be doing another session, at least one more session, if not two, on this. But again, hopefully you'll find it's worth the trouble. And I'm going to come across over here now, and I'm going to bring some more of the green in here. My assistant's going to tell me how long I've got to do this. 4 minutes, right? So we'll see how we get on with this. Right. Now I'm going to very, very quickly now. I'm just going to try and build up some of the colour. I'm putting green in with a bit of the blue here now. So the water's getting really quite green. Now that here, keep it thin at the moment. Work your way carefully around the needles and the lighthouse. But again, pull the colour around. So that way we can see the needles and the end of the cliff. And later on we'll be doing, well, even some of the gap here, because we've got water, you've got the waves splashing around a bit. And also we've got reflection here of the white of the needles in the water. But again here, we'll see that better later as we begin to work more into that. It might be worth the trouble of taking a bit more time, a bit more number of sessions on this to really help you get the waves and things. Right, we're going to run out of time. What I'm going to do is I shall put some more colour down here. Still only got 5 minutes left, so that's more than I thought. That's good. But again here, you notice I'm beginning to work the colour around this way a bit more. Quite thin, the green and the blues together here. There's a sap green and the blue. And I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to be, whoops, that's quite dark, isn't it? But what you'll see in a minute, we'll thin that down. And of course, having that slightly mixed, deliberately leaving some of the white, because it's the sort of the waves as they come in into land, they start picking up. When we were on holiday last year, we were staying near the coast, and we were made to see the waves coming in off the on this occasion off the Atlantic, and as they built up, they got more higher and higher as they got nearer to the land. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be careful. I'm not going to put any more in here, because this area I want to be a bit more time on it, a bit more detailed. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of purple through here. Whoops, be careful, Mr. Savine. There we go. Just bring that on. So again, we've got that feeling of the sea, different sort of movement that you get in the sea, the colours change. Look at the original painting, and I'm just going to put a bit more colour into here. You can do this again. You've got more time than I've got to do this, so you don't have to rush it. And keep, if you can, if you've taken the class off the internet and put it onto your desk, and you've got more time to play around than I have here. But again, here I'm just using the tip of the brush with a bit of the purple on, and that's and unfortunately I've got a fly buzzing around my head at the moment. Then again, can you see, just begin to get the bit more feeling of the flow here. As I said, although over in the distance we're going horizontally, here near the coast we're being following, as it were, the way the water goes, because it changes direction as it gets near to the land. It's quite, if you're on holidays, or if you happen to be fortunate to live near the coast, you spend time looking. I've had to spend over the years with some of my paintings a lot of time looking and looking and looking at how the waves go. So we're going to call that a day now, and we'll come back to that on another session. All right. So hopefully that would be give you something to do over the next couple of days or so, and then next time we'll come back and we'll spend a bit more time in the foreground, where we've got the more detail of the waves and where the needles themselves are. Okay, so thank you for your patience, and see you again.